Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Gyan Bhakti channel from Swami Nikhilananda. My humble prostrations to the all-pervading Brahman, to my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayanandaji Maharaj, to all sages and saints, to Ram Parivar, and to each of you divine soul watching today's satsang. We are currently studying the Holy Scripture, Mysticism of Ramayana. Commentary is by my Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayanandaji Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So yesterday we covered the story of the monkey face of sage Narada and his anger towards Lord Vishnu and the curse that he pronounced. So let's proceed further. This story about Narada also helps an aspirant gain a more penetrating understanding about the divine and the demoniac in human personality. Because of Narada's curse, the divine messengers of Lord Shiva had to incarnate as demons and remain in that degraded state until released by death. Thus, Ravana and Kumbhakarna, the two most dreaded demons in the Ramayana, had a divine origin and were merely playing the role of demons according to the divine plan. So everything that happens in our life, although apparently it may seem very gross or very painful, but there is always a divine plan behind it. Like Ravana and Kumbhakarna, every human being is a blend of God and demon. So we have within us both of these energies. To use the terminology of the Gita, everyone is a blend of divine qualities, which Gita calls them as Devi Sampat or divine qualities. And demoniac qualities are called Asuri Sampat. No one is all virtue or all evil. So most of us are a blend of these two. Now if our good qualities are higher than the bad ones, we are more sattvic. But if the bad ones are overpowering the good ones, we are more rajasic or tamasic. So the world contains both good and evil, light and darkness, but the intrinsic energy behind both is the same. So the energy that flows through all human personalities is essentially divine, but due to mental complexes, that energy becomes cramped or restricted. So for example, love for others is instinctive in our human heart, but due to ignorance, the energy that should have flowed in the form of love begins to flow in the form of anger and hate. Therefore, we go back and forth between these emotions. In the same energy, just short-circuited. It's the same love towards that person, but that when it's short-circuited, it turns into anger and hate, and then once the short circuit is removed, it turns back into love again. But when it's short-circuited, it's painful. It's a degraded form, like electricity flowing through wires. The divine energy works a wonder when it flows correctly through the channels of a pure mind. Thus we find peace when we are in the company of sages and saints. But we become terribly destructive when a short circuit develops. That's when like a live wire is very dangerous and people can get shock and even die from it. But once everything is flowing properly, we don't even pay any attention. We think everything's fine. So in the Ramayana, whenever Rama destroys a mighty demon, a light emerges from the demon and enters into Rama. You must have seen this in the movies also, showing that the demon spirit has become liberated, one with Rama. This implies that every demon was essentially a divine entity, but the divine energy was temporarily imprisoned, so to speak, waiting to be released by the avatara of God. So that is the way we should be looking at negative qualities. There's no point in hating them. Just understand that the electricity is short-circuited and it needs correction. And we also have a lot of short-circuited areas that need our attention as well. So similarly, as devotion advances, bhakti, the Rama within us kills the demon within us. So it's our internal journey, that battle of demons versus the gods. When a negative quality becomes the target of Rama's arrow, that negative quality becomes transformed. So our anger turns into love, for example, which is a wonderful transformation within our personality. Where there was anger, love unfolds. Where there was pride, humility grows. Where there was frustration, profound fulfillment develops within our heart. So, this was the mystical, deeper meaning of Sage Narada cursing the demons. So, let us study a new story today. It's called the story of Pratap Bhanu, which is also part of this Ramayana. In Hindu culture, it is believed that there have been many yugas or cycles of creation, and within these yugas, which are a very long time, one Chaturyugi, Satyuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga, is called a Chaturyugi. So we basically believe that time is endless and this cycle keeps rotating forever and ever. And one Chaturyugi is 3,200,000 years, one rotation. So as you can see, we only live, if we are lucky, to 100 years, for example. So it's basically a drop in the ocean as far as our lifetimes are concerned. That's why we say life is transient. But these are the yugas, and there have been many such yugas. Treta Yuga is during which Rama incarnates. In one Treta Yuga, the cause for the incarnation of Rama, as well as the demons Ravana and Kumbhakarna, was Narada's curse that we just covered. In another Treta Yuga, Rama and the demons incarnated because of a curse that was given to a king named Pratap Bhanu. According to the story, there was once a righteous king in the country of Kaikai named Pratap Bhanu. Kaikai, I understand, is today's Afghanistan. So India had a large coverage at that time. So together with his brother Arimardana and his pious minister, the priest Dharmaruchi, Pratap Bhanu ruled his kingdom in a virtuous manner. So he was a good king. One day, Pratap Bhanu went on a hunting excursion and was led away from his army by a strange boar that kept appearing and disappearing right before his eyes. Angry that he could not catch that boar, the king stubbornly kept chasing the elusive animal until he found himself in the depths of the forest just as the sun was setting. To his surprise and relief, however, right before his eyes there was a little hermitage that might afford him shelter from the dark night. He entered and encountered a saintly looking person who told him, "My name is Sage Ekatanu, and I have been here in the same body from the beginning of creation. You are the first person who has come to visit me." At first, the king was a bit mistrustful and concealed his true identity, but then, after the sage impressed him deeply with his words, the king revealed who he was and why he was there. In fact, that was Sage Ekatanu was just a pretending. He was not really a sage at all. In reality, he was a former political enemy of Pratap Bhanu who had been defeated by the king some years back and had waited all this time for the right moment to get his revenge. So he had come up with a plan to draw the king into that dense forest with the help of the boar, who was really a terrible demon known as Kalaketu. The demon also held a grudge against the king for killing his family members years before. In the course of his conversation with Pratapabhanu, the false sage won the complete confidence of the king, who now really believed that Ekatanu was one of the wisest saints of all time. All this is the power of illusion or Maya. The sage flattered the king and told him that since he was the greatest king on earth, he would grant any desire he had. With his sense of greed aroused, Pratapabhanu said, "May I attain a body that is free of old age, death, and misery, and may I become an emperor of emperors and a ruler for 100 kalpas without any obstruction. So that was what Pratap Bhanu asked for, and we will continue this satsang, this story, tomorrow. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Om Tat Sat.